You know, God designed everything perfectly in the realm of eternity down to the movement of every atom and everybody's free will, you know what I mean? And the whole sequence of events, God knows what's going to happen. Before God says it's reality in motion, God knew exactly what was going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like everything's part of God's plan. And like some things are easy to understand, like to get to the point we are now, it's been 4 billion years of evolution, you know? That requires death and that requires suffering, you know? It just does, you know? There's no way to get around it. Part of God's plan, you know what I mean? Whatever the final result is or whatever. But other things, you know, like just the way we've organized this reality, you know, collectively as humans, you know, with different religions and philosophies and even different sciences sometimes, you know, math and shit. But we've organized this reality, you know, the best we can, you know. But we're all the human in the natural form, uneducated, is fucking dumb as fuck. You know what I mean? We're all born dumb as fuck. We're all dumb as fuck when we're born. And without the proper education, we just can't function right. We can't figure shit out the correct way and like all this stuff. And you know, the biggest problem, it's not the scientists or the philosophers, you know. Those motherfuckers agree on shit. It's not the mathematicians, they agree on shit. It's the realm of religious thought. Not really spirituality, because, you know, spirituality is very accepting of whatever you believe, you know. But religion isn't, you know. And religious thought is basically, it's based on the Word of God. Everybody's got these books that they claim is the Word of God. And yes, it was inspired by the Word of God thousands of years ago, you know. Or however long ago it was. It was, even if it was written today, it's inspired by the Word of God. But it gets warped over time. You know what I mean? So it's not the Word of God. And I think the big problem with the realm of religious thought in the world today, you know, because when you're religious, you want to control the laws of the land and everything, and that leads to war and shit and a lot of problems, whatever. People that believe differently than you know? And I think the problem in today's world is our religious people, they haven't studied or immersed themselves in the actual Word of God. You know what I mean? Like, they got these books inspired by the Word of God, and they read them, and they try to understand everything they can. You know what I mean? They don't understand everything. Nobody does in those books. Nobody can. It's impossible. Because, you know, definitions change over time, and the original message gets warped over time, you know? So, you just can't understand everything, or whatever. But, the problem with religion nowadays is keep your book. I don't care, you know? Keep your book. But at least, if you're going to keep your book, immerse yourself in the actual Word of God, the source of the book. You know what I mean? Like most books, religious books that are at war today, goes back to Moses. Moses led an instinctive path that led to God's teachings. You know what I mean? Then he wrote a book and wrote some laws, you know? Asked questions and answered them kind of thing, you know? And maybe he was a little delusional, which most people are delusional when they talk about religious shit, you know? It's hard to get around, you know? But anyways, if you're religious, whoever you trace that back to, just follow the instinctive path that they led in life. You know what I mean? So you could gain the same understandings that they had that grew into that book, you know? Before it was words out of Moses' mouth, it was understanding, a bunch of understandings in Moses' head that grew into the words that he wrote down. You know what I'm saying? It's that pure source that you want. It's that pure source that's the Word of God. You know, I can't fix this fucking world. This world's fucked up. You have to fix it. Everybody has to fix it. And the only way to fix it is to actually, you know, search for the Word of God yourself. Gain those teachings yourself so you can understand things yourself. You know what I mean? And, because I'll tell you what, these religious people, with their acts of barbarism that we often see today, tells me that they may know God. Everybody knows God. Yeah, I'm not denying that. But they know God at the education level of a kindergartner. You know? And not as a not as a high school education level or even a college or a graduate or nothing like that, you know? A kindergartner, you know? If you're going to talk about shit, you should learn. You should know what you're talking about and understand what you're talking about. So get your education. Get your education, is all I'm saying. If you're going to talk about God, get the education needed. If you don't understand, you don't have enough understandings in your mind to form a thought of God existing. If you can't form that thought in your mind, you don't believe in God. That's totally fine, you know? God gave you a mind to understand shit and only believe what you understand. So if you don't believe in God, don't believe in God, you know? Your beliefs don't matter. My beliefs don't matter. The truth is the truth. And the truth is something you can understand. People forget that. Anyways, educate yourself.